A lot of these people write to me and say, I heard The Fall, which record should I get? And I never have any hesitation in telling them, you must get them all. Because it's impossible to pick one, you have to have them all.
Welcome to We Are the Fall. I'm Gavin.
I'm Steve.
And today we're going to be talking about the Fall's first LP, Live at the Witch Trials. We've heard a little quote to start off the show of John Peel, a consummate Fall fan and Fall proponent throughout his whole career. One of the first ones and longest lasting. And we will eventually get into some of the Fall Peel sessions, which are really where you get to see the Fall and hear the Fall at their really at some of the heights of their career. But what do you think about that John Peel quote right there?
You got to get them all. That's a lot, but
Can you afford it?
No. Can you find them all? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question too.
But yeah, I mean, Mark doesn't write too many bad songs, too many bad poems to, put to music. So it is all unique.
Yeah, I think that's what it is I think that's what he's getting to the heart of is you have to listen to a lot of the Fall in order to really gauge what exactly is going on. We did the first EP and the singles, and that kind of gets you into it. But until you start getting like a nice landscape of what is going on in the Fall and from album to album, you're not really getting the full depth of what Mark has the capability of going for, and also what each band and the makeup of each band is actually bringing to each one. So you get these because from album to album, you're going to get a little bit of a different dynamic based on the band makeup, the energy, the instrumentation, and then also whatever mood Mark was in
Sure.
the day that they recorded it. So we're going to listen to Live at the Witch Trials and talk about this first album, which is a really interesting first album because I'll ask you, how many days do you think it took them to record this album? 11 tracks.
I believe I read that they did it in 2 days because Mark had the flu and couldn't perform and had to go get some sort of 70s shot in his ass to be able to get out there and sing.
A shot. Yeah, a couple beers, a shot. That's what he needed, and to get back there. Yeah, he canceled the first couple of days because he was ill, and then they recorded the whole. It sounds like they recorded the entire album in one day, and then the next day, Bob Sargent, the producer, mixed it. So, I mean, they were ready. I mean, it kind of goes back to Mark always had the songs ready, right? And then he was always going to make sure that the band was ready to record the songs at any given moment. I think that's what I think maybe one of the number one criteria to be in the Fall is you always have to be ready with the next thing or be ready to do what was already kind of fleshed out, even roughly, and because it might be on the album.
Which is,
I think some of, yeah.
Which is cool because, Live at the Witch Trials, it's not live, but Pretty much it is.
It's not
Pretty
live.
much it is live, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't think they had too many sets. I don't
No
think
audience,
they had.
but
No
yeah.
audience. You know, the recording sound is obviously better, but
Yeah.
I don't. You know, it was a kind of a one take, two take. Okay, good enough. Like let's move on.
Yeah, definitely. And like, so we got Marky Smith, of course, on this album. We got Martin Brahma, which I believe is the last album he's on, playing guitars, backing vocals. Mark Riley on bass, which is great because he becomes the guitar player moving forward. But he's on bass here. And then Carl Burns, which is, I believe this is the last time he's on here until he comes back to the Fall later on. So you got the great drummer, you got the original guitar player, you got Mark Riley on bass, who will move into the guitar, and they'll get a new bass player, and then you got Yvonne on the keyboard. So you got to have those keys moving forward. But yeah, Live at the Witch Trials. This is another one which I think is really good early era of Fall because it is mixed well. You do really get to immerse yourself in the soundscape of the Fall and get into the Witch Trials. So with that, I don't know. Do you have any other overall feels about this album before we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice continuation of, you know, what you heard, you know, early on with the EP and the singles, and it definitely lets you know what to expect out of them.
Yeah, and there's some cuts on this one that are like pure classics, like not even just Fall wise, but like songs that you're just like, that is a pure art rock classic song. And there are a couple on here, and some of Mark's best lyrics, but also even the in between tracks. There's not much filler, right? There's a lot of good quality song and tracks in here. And interestingly enough, it has some of the, you know, long repetitive songs that you're used to getting with the Fall, but it's not till like the back half where you start getting some of those. So after the first track, which was originally recorded for the EP, and Mark said it wasn't up to snuff, so they held off on it and re-recorded it. After that track, it's kind of a lot of little nuggets in here that are really fun. So let's get into it. Let's go into the first track, Frightened. And this one just drops in.
Yeah.
And I like the extended intro when you get the Fall keyboard that you're hoping to hear. And it's just like giving you the taste right at the beginning. The taste on the tongue.
Yvonne's been practicing her keyboard.
Yeah, he asked her to unlearn so many things that she actually went into like a simplistic in tune tone for this first track. I mean, just like starting with a lyric like "I sweated a lot" and you could feel the violence is is putting me someplace. I got the shears pointed straight at my chest. So for this opening track, do you assume there's some sort of drug use, effects going on?
Yeah, I mean, between the drugs and the alcohol, obviously, Mark is known to struggle. So, you know, at this point, hopefully he's still enjoying himself while he's doing it.
And he's like, he might be in a trance still from his sickness, you know? He's coming to the studio to record this, and he might be a little delusional when he's spewing out these lyrics. And also, he is, I gotta say, somewhat subdued in his delivery, you know? He could be when he's saying, I'm in a trance, he's not screaming at us like we know he can. He's kind of smoothed it out. And it's very musical.
It is, yeah. It is definitely more, plays in line with the instruments versus forcing the instruments in line with him.
I spent hours looking sideways to a time when I was 16. It's a little callback to, looking around him, his observations. There's some sort of thing where he's just like paranoid. The character is paranoid. In looking around and seeing all this toilets and feces.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been in enough
toilets and feces situations.
Shithole rock venues that you get trapped in that bathroom when you're feeling a bit sideways and you want to go home.
Yeah, you're in a trance and you need a change of scenery.
Yeah, I sweat. I'm in a trance. The toilets are not the escape I was hoping.
Yeah, and the characters appearing at midnight when the films close. Like coming out of like a theater, and you've just been in like some sort of world, at least state. Maybe you were having a little bit of some sort of medicinal, and you come out of it and you're back in the real world. You walk out of the theater and you're in the real world, and it's almost as jarring as being in there and watching the screen, and you have to reacclimate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You look to the sky. My lips are dry. You're okay. This is it, I guess.
Amphetamine frightened. Great slow burn of a track to start off with. I love that.
Yeah, definitely approachable. Definitely enjoyable, right?
That bass has like some sort of chorus like phased effect on it, where it's the same thing throughout, but it has that texture that really makes it like a little bit off of what you would expect from, if they would have chosen to put a dry bass line in there and it's just driving along, it's not the same effect of having that little bit of a shimmering quality of like a puddle on the street when he's walking around. There's some like reflections going around. I really love that. Yeah,
I mean, and this was pretty much Mark's first time, Mark Riley's first time playing the bass. Like he played guitar. He borrowed this bass to join the band and play bass in it. And so he's just learning on the fly, right? Like trying to keep Marky happy.
The lesson learned, I think, from that is, if you could ask you want to play bass in the fall, is you say yes, and then you secure whatever instrument you need, in this case, a bass to get into the band. I don't think Mark is really concerned about the quality of the bass, right? If it is like a fine instrument or not, as long as it can get the job done and make some sort of unique sound that fills in the texture that he needs.
Sure. I mean, he's the best, so he doesn't need...
He's the best.
He doesn't need better people around him. He just wants someone else to watch him.
Even when he's frightened and insecure, he still knows he's the best. All right, now let's go to the beautifully named second track, Crap Rap 2 / Like the Blow. It makes me wonder what Crap Rap number 1 was. Who would think that Crap Rap number 1 would not make the cut, but Crap Rap number 2, actually quality.
Well, almost. You had to mix it with like to Blow. Was it the same song? Did he mix two together?
Yeah, maybe he did.
Crap Rap 1 and...
Crap Rap 1 is on the cutting room floor, maybe. But I like the way these drums are just swirling around. It's a great headphone track. You can definitely hear that panning of the drums back and forth. I honestly think they could have moved this track back in the track list a little bit. You know, they could have hit us with another, you know, something. But I know what they're doing. I mean, I think I know what the reasoning is, because Frightened was, you know, it's that slow burn kind of very methodical opening track, and then they want to hit you with something that's like, you know, wild. It's like it's bouncing around in your eardrums.
It almost could have been faster. Like if they wanted to
Faster, yeah.
You know, if they wanted to hit that punk rock, like jarring, get them up off the floor, like get them moving.
Yeah, I like to blow. Concentration Zone, living on snacks, potatoes in the packs. I mean, that's like, you know, like that's a character where that's a character that's, you know, not getting out because they're going to be self-sufficient on whatever kind of substance gets them in that concentration zone. And then, you know, it's just going to be time passing, flying past them.
In circles, though. It's all the same. It's all the same, right? Like, it's not any different. It's just the same over again.
Yeah, it's the same. And yeah, it's the cycle. Maybe of procuring whatever you need, going back home, getting your snacks out on the table, partaking in whatever recreation you're going to partake in, but then you're completely fine because you're in your concentration zone, and you're just going to let it spin out of control. Yeah. I mean, crap rap number 2. It's a classic. I think we can agree it's a classic. It's as an intro. And then Like to Blow, it's a good change of pace from the first one. But should we go into something that's stone cold classic?
Yes, we should. Rebellious Jukebox. Let's listen.
I'm searching for the now. I'm looking for the real thing, yeah.
Rebellious Jukebox. This is where I'm getting that Martin Brahma guitar that I love. Shimmery.
I was going to say, this is truly musical, like a music song versus spoken word with instruments.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually has a groove to it. And Martin's strumming is just like, he's not playing all the notes. He's kind of playing a jagged kind of rhythm that is so, I don't know, it's such a good groove. It's playing off of the bass in the rhythm section and the drums. And the Rebellious Jukebox, I mean, this might as well be, for the early era Fall, and maybe for the whole time, this might as well have been their theme song. I could easily, I would only hope if I ever got to see this incarnation of the band that they would come onto stage and just bust this one out first. I don't think Mark would do it because he knows that would be too easy. But it really just kicks. And the chorus, the backing vocals with Mark is something that I think he could have done a lot more of to make it just like more impactful, right? You're not going to find a fall song on a jukebox that, you know, in general, but their jukebox, if you fill it up with their songs, is going to be just totally setting the vibe for whatever dive bar or I don't know, what other situation would you be listening to the fall where it would be very, very fitting for the environment?
Where could you play the fall?
A wedding.
A wedding. Oh, yeah. I'm sure the bride would like that.
First Dance to Crap Rap too.
Exactly. Maybe
with the father-in-law.
but walking down the aisle, crap wreck too.
I'm walking down the aisle with frightened. That's like a slower pace. That's a nice pace. It's not really it's not really like setting the right context for what's about to happen, but it's a nice pace to be walking, you know? Maybe that's just the processional.
A funeral.
That's just
A funeral
that's
might
just-
be nice.
I'm all for it. I'm all for the funeral having some fall. No Xmas for John Keys.
1, 2, 3, 4. No Christmas for John Key. No Christmas for John Key. No Christmas for John Key. No Christmas for John Key.
Mark starting off with the X and Xmas is a substitute for Christ. Oh. So I always wondered about this one. Do you think that he really was saying no Christmas for junkies, and then he just changed the title of it to John Keys?
It does make sense.
There's like debate where there's, you know, some people say that there's a real John Keys that's existed that he knew, but I really think it's like a
Junkies, yeah. I mean that
it's very fitting to like a Mark move, you know,
for sure. Make it less obvious.
Yes, make it more interesting by saying it's a guy who might be a junkie, you know, most likely is.
Which all your best junkies are struggle through the holidays, right? Like,
especially John Keys.
20 special offer cigars. You're gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Definitely going to be enjoying that. Found talking to the cigarette machine. I mean, I can picture it. And then you get a little Mark solo Oz, you know?
It's always best.
With his some of his best
instruments, right? Like
he's anti-guitar solo, so what are you going to have instead of a guitar solo? Vocal solo.
Mouth noise. Spits in the sky, it falls in his eye. I mean, he's painting a picture for me here.
Yeah. No regard for his own hygiene. See, when he's saying, I'll stay in, that's going back to his previous character in Like to Blow, you know?
Yeah.
It's the
convincing his mom.
Yeah.
Just don't worry, Mom. I'll stay in. I'll be good.
Yeah,
I'll be good on Christmas.
John Keys, are you going to be good on Christmas? Yeah, I'll stay in.
I'll be there.
I'll stay in.
I'll be there on time, Mom. Don't worry.
I just need to run to the pub real quick to have a chat with the cigarette machine. Go outside, spit on myself, and I'll be back. And then I'm going to stay in the rest of the night because it is Christmas. And it's
family time.
It's family time. It's where we're going to celebrate the Lord and Savior.
And then, I mean, he's also saying
and maybe some gifts.
He mentions Frankie Lemon, who's an old American rock and roll guy. I don't know why they're talking about who's talking about him.
I think he might be talking. Maybe he is talking about it. Maybe he wants to be listening to some Frankie Lyman. And yeah, I mean,
maybe that's
the 20 special offer cigars. Is that the gift? Is that the Christmas gift for a junkie?
For all the uncles, everybody, you show up to the party with 20 cigars to pass around, and your dad's got Frankie Lyman on the record player.
I mean, that's a scene. That's actually a scene I want to be observing. I don't know if I want to partake, but I want to be in the living room, in the front room, you know.
The front room. We're from Chicago, Gavin. It's the front room.
It's a French room. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'll be sitting I'll be sitting on like an old, tattered couch, or maybe a couch with that plastic wrap over it, the protective cover.
Nice Afghan on along the backside, covered in cigarette ash.
Sitting next to your cousin John Keys, who's partially passed out next to you.
That's the best time. That's the only time you really want to be around John Keys, is partially passed out.
And then he's gonna, and I think that's the reason why he doesn't get Christmas. He kind of misses out on it for various reasons, but he kind of misses out on the whole, the actual festive portion of singing the carols, roasting the chestnuts. But honestly, I like that one.
It's a shocker, right? Number 4, we're talking about Christmas time with the Junkies.
That's another interesting placement. I don't know if I would have placed it right there in number 4 on the track list. I think I might put it more as at the end, like towards the end of a side of a record, where the fidelity is getting a little bit less quality, so that you can even get that a little bit more grit in there. And it's a palate cleanser, because then we head into, we look into the other room, right? Christmas Eve. We look into the other room and we get Mother Sister. And we start considering all sorts of weird shit.
What's this song about? Nothing.
I think that's a great summation too of fall songs, is Mark saying, "What is this song about? Nothing."
Yeah, no, he won't tell you.
It's not for him to say. It's for the fall to say, the fall fans. It's for us to say. And I'm going to say, this guitar again is really getting it for me. All of these fall songs that have like the melodic repeating guitar riff, it's not a guitar riff, It's like chords and then a strum and then a chord and then a couple notes. And then they try to change it up a little bit every time. They give you a little bit dynamics.
Sure, they just don't remember what they played the first time around.
Why does he say, why did you push your head in? Mother, sister. Why did you push your head in?
I'm only guessing that someone shoved their head up a turkey's ass. Christmas Eve, turkey's gotta get stuffed somehow.
The fathers are underground. Your mouth is sold out. That's a great line. It's all the males are taken care of. But the mother sister is literally is the one that's, stepping in to get the job done.
I do enjoy the different pace of the slow to fast, slow to fast, slow to fast.
Yeah, the change up, and the keyboard just goes off in the middle. And then we get another cool drum solo at the end too, with the drums. Bob Sargent mixing these drums and panning them around is really good. It's really fitting. It's almost like you're going down. Like you're about to pass out. It's just like swirling around you. Mother, sister. Okay, so we get that beautiful feminist anthem, and then we go into last song on side A, Industrial Estate, which, come on, let's get into Industrial Estate. Is this the most Manchester song you could write?
I think
for the
so.
era, for the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is everyone surrounding them is just like either doing this, working for the one factory or another,
Trying to work, trying to get a job. Yeah. We build a canteen, but we haven't got much space. You got to
Sure,
get the
right?
job done.
You got a bit of depression. Get some Valium. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You'll get through it. You'll get your wage. You'll earn your check for the day, and then you walk out the gates, and what are you going to do? Go spend that to probably get you ready for the next day. That's a great ender for the side, though, isn't it?
Yeah, nice and fast. I mean, it's always hard for me to choose which fall is more enjoyable, the burst or the drawn out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You get a little bit different of like you want it like popping off right in your face, or do you want it to be slowly, blooming, where actually it might not even bloom, but it's like slowly happening in front of you, and you're hoping that you're going to get something out of it, and usually you don't, as far as like a payoff, but the whole thing is a payoff, and then it makes you want to just listen to it again.
Yeah,
Because you said, oh, there is a slow little ebbs and flows of it, where those ebbs and flows, how subtle that they may be, they are the slow blooms that happen on the second listen, the third listen, and then like the 40th listen.
Sure, and you're just like, what did I miss? Why did it end? Like I was expecting a crescendo, finalization.
Yeah.
I guess maybe one more time, and let's see if I just missed it.
Yeah, it is the punk ethos of them just ending it like that too. But also it's them. I mean, looking back on it, not in hindsight, that's some great like self-creative control to be like, no, that is it,
Yeah.
That is it.
The poem is finished. We are no longer playing music.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing that the fall is known for empirically is no overdubs, or limited overdubs. Like if we didn't get it in playing it live together, then what is the point in adding something? It's not going to add that much more, right? They're not adding guitar solos. They're not adding keyboard solos. They're not going to add just Mark yelping out of nowhere. It's going to be there in the take or it's not, right?
Yeah, it is. That is nice where, you don't get any of the trying to make noise to fill space.
Yes. I mean, it's just distilled. It's distilled in that track and that track by itself. Yeah, great side A. Now, as we're flipping the record over, what are you thinking about this album art here?
Man,
very interesting album art.
I like some roots. You might expect some more witch trial imagery, but
references. Yeah.
Sure. You don't get it necessarily. I don't. At least I don't.
No, not really. No, I don't really get it either. But it is a desolate landscape. You even get a couple trees out there in the distance which have no leaves on them, so it's extra desolate. Even like a stump, which is it's kind of just eroding right there, which is cool. It has a lot of detail though, which is surprising for a fall album cover up to this point, especially. But in general, it does have a lot of.
It is a nice looking tree system we got there in the front, in the foreground.
Yeah, yeah.
You can stare at it for sure.
Yeah, just after listening to side A and looking at the cover, I would be thinking, nothing has been natural about this about this first side like this. I can see the.
I wouldn't listen to this in the woods. Like I wouldn't go out and be like, yeah, this is nature.
That might be something we have to do in the future though. Is a little woods listening session to a fall album. That might change our perspective a little bit. But yeah, the deteriorating trees, even the roots look like they're kind of falling apart, and withering.
Sure, you have
Which
no idea what the top of the tree looks like, right? You got
yeah,
roots and trunk.
yeah. But this does remind me, looking at this cover, is when the first time I ever heard The Fall, I got this album. I went to the library when I was, 8th grade, maybe a freshman in high school. And it's when we had CD burners. You could rip the songs off the CDs and start your own music library. So I'll be going to the library and getting different albums. And I was really just kind of getting old albums because it was the library that I just recognized by the album cover or by the title as being classic albums that I should at least listen to. So I got 3 or 4 CDs, and I remember one of the CDs was The Clash, London Calling, which I think was actually the same year as this album came out, in 1979. And I got The Clash, London Calling. I think I might have got Led Zeppelin, and then I got Live at the Witch Trials. And I only got Live at the Witch Trials from this title alone, and also because I'm pretty sure I probably heard Live at the Witch Trials somewhere and been like, okay, this is something I at least have to listen to, right? And so I went home and I listened to the Clash one first because I saw that album cover. I was like, oh yeah, that's one of the iconic album covers in general. And I listened to that and I was like, whoa, man, this is, front to back, like pop nuggets. There's no filler tracks. It's all, really catchy, really accessible music. And so I listened to that whole thing, and then I put in Live at the Witch Trials, and I started listening to it, and I said, I am not ready for this. I had no idea what was going on. I'm 14 years old, and I'm like, also at that point, Marquis, I had no idea about Marquis Smith, and I'm listening to this guy,
shout it.
basically, and kind of slurring, shouting, and I don't assume he was drunk when he was recording this, but he has this delivery that was shouting at me with this this accent, which I was only catching some of the words, and I said, I am. This is not for me right now, at least.
I was going to say, when we got into this, I watched one of the BBC specials with him, and honestly, it was 40% understood what he was saying, and I was like, oh boy, let's listen to the music and see if I can get some of these words more comprehensible to me. And at this point, it's become second nature. I should go visit Manchester and make a friend or something. But
I know it is. It's an acquired accent to get. And there's a funny part in one of these. In one of the Fall books, I think in the book called The Fall by Mick Middles, and he's interviewing Mark, and they're friends, and Mark is telling him about how he would be in school. His teachers would be, I don't know if they would be making fun of him, but they were definitely not nice about the way that he spoke, and they would make him kind of read things or recite things because he had this very, very singular accent. And he's like, they would be getting on me for my accent, and I'm like, man, they're getting on him for his accent, and they're from the same
sure.
They're from the same area. That really says that he had a unique voice in general. Oh man. Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the John Peel quote about you need to have them all, is because you hear some of the cuts by themselves, and you're like, wow, that's catchy. Even the Fall are known for doing a lot of covers. We're gonna get into their cover of the Kinks' Victoria, which is really good. but they did a lot of those songs which are easily palatable to the general public, but then you get into the albums and you're like, there is a learning curve,
Sure.
There is a learning curve to even recognizing what is trying to be portrayed. which is half the fun as someone that likes to listen to music. I know that as we both have done, like sitting on a back porch in Chicago, just listening to any new music together. It's just like you have to be open to taking it in and allowing it to present itself to you, because you can't just force it, especially this stuff.
Yeah, and like you said, like with the covers, like Marky was not really willing to produce a studio album, right? Like he didn't he wasn't going to give the label what they wanted, which was hits. And so like he's like, okay, fine, I'll at least I'll do a couple covers. It's not my art that I'm gonna be fucking around with, though. So
yeah, and he was a music, like he said he wasn't into music until like early teenage years, but he was a music aficionado, and he would listen to anything as well. And especially in those days, you pretty much, I assume, had to listen to whatever was presented to you, because you couldn't readily find it. So he would listen to a lot of pop music, but even he said he likes trash music. He would be interested in the music that was more trashy sounding, and you can see that that's what he made.
Sure,
he made that
yeah.
music. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what drew me in, is like, how many shows did we go and see, and we stayed for the first and second band, and then we walk out on the headliner just because you're like, that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah, exactly. To be surprised, right? To be caught off guard by something that doesn't sound pristine is something that's way more interesting and way more re-listenable than to something that has been immaculately carved out and like sometimes overthought, where you're like, okay, it's so direct that there's nothing left for me to interpret.
Sure. Yeah. And true people with passion, right? Like, the people opening up sets for a headliner, like, love what they're doing, right? Like, whether they want to make it big or not, like, they're busting their ass to put something out for the 12 people that might be standing in front of them. But and that's kind of what he did every day, right? Like, it's like, okay, we're gonna give it our all, whether it's good or whether it's
perceived as good.
Yeah,
perceived as good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like it. We're gonna give it the most professional and like thoughtful, performance that we can.
Yeah, and it's like, especially for themselves, right? Like for themselves to be pleased with it as a good performance, because I know that there's like a bunch of live albums and live takes that Mark would be like telling the band, like, what the fuck were you doing tonight? Like what you were off of it, and the band members are just looking at him like, I thought I played the best set yet, but it was perceived as something that was not right, and there was always that like kind of perfectionism, and it needs to be like this, and it wasn't necessarily musical. It could have just been that the energy wasn't there, right? Or they didn't get worked up enough, which he loved, to work up the band just into a frenzy, so that he could have that energy to feed off of as well.
Well, yeah, and you get the perception that he didn't care or necessarily seek the fame, but he definitely wanted it, right? Like, he wanted the recognition. He wanted to be, he thought of himself as the best, and he wanted others to see him that way too. And, but unwilling to change at all to fit that mold that, may have given him the greater fame, the greater success that he, ultimately maybe wanted, but couldn't make himself strive for, or achieve. He thought he should get it naturally by his genius.
Naturally, exactly. Yeah. And naturally, because he knew it was quality, He wasn't like, and he wasn't even going to force it on anyone because he didn't really care. He's going to play whatever songs are going to be the ones that he knows he can be putting 100% into, instead of just songs that someone wants to hear. He has no interest in that.
Yeah, he's not going to sit down and write a pop hit just to get on the charts, right? Like he wanted to be there, badly, but was unimpressed by what he heard when he played them, right?
Yeah, and I wonder how much of it went into it because there was, and he's so anti-scene, like he's like, when people would ask him about being in a scene or the Manchester scene, he said, I don't like scenes. I don't want to be a part of a scene. It has no interest to me to be a part of some sort of movement. He's like, the fall is the fall. It's a singular thing. He's like, that's all I control, and that's all that's important to him. So, yeah, I think that really is the heart of it. Is, he wasn't trying to force anything. He was just trying to get it done the right way. So, with that being said, Side B,
underground medicine.
You have a system, you have a system, you have a system, you have a system, underground medicine, underground medicine, underground medicine, underground medicine.
Now we get a little bit of overdub with Mark overdubbing his voice on top of it. The minimal overdub.
Like the twang in the beginning is nice.
Yeah, those guitars are just so good.
Do you think he's talking about that buried barbiturates all around Manchester? Is that the underground medicine he's digging up?
I think he's talking about his love of vegetables. And living a healthy lifestyle. I mean, he's a nervous system, and he needs that underground medicine to keep that nervous system going. The fuel.
Shut down that psychosomatic voice, right? Shut it down.
And I like the line, and the colonel shot better with 30 pints. They took his cup away. Take it away. Take it away. He needs his fuel, and sometimes with his fuel, you get right on target.
Triple infinity vision.
Yeah, you get that triple infinity vision where everything is right aligned for you. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one to start off side B. I mean, it gives you, it re-ups the energy, and then it hits right into 2 steps back, which is just so good. Yeah, now we get into the side B and we get one of the, a signature long repetitive fall song. Another slow burner.
Yeah, I was going to say this is the one that kind of hits good for me. I'm definitely. Let's play this one.
The groove,
right? Like put it again, play it again, play it again.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I feel like if Mark was like a workout dude, this would be his workout. This would be his workout song. Like he'd be pumping those weights, on the treadmill. Get it, put it in the work, get that chiseled physique that he wanted.
Yeah, I could imagine him with a little sweatband and some dumbbells power walking around Manchester.
How about like a sweatband and like some short like workout shorts, but then like a turtleneck sweater.
Okay, yeah, maybe not dumbbells, but he's just got some like cuff weights on his ankles or something.
Yeah. I think he secretly likes sweating. Like maybe there was like some sort of problem with like
with alcoholism.
The heat ration. I mean,
constant,
sweat it out. Sweat it out to put it back in.
The constant body doesn't regulate temperature anymore.
Yeah. You gotta, So you got to deal with it, right? So you always got to be like layers, layers of fabrics, but then layers of lyrics, and layers of lyrical meaning. Yeah, the guitars on this one are just killer.
It's nice they let him kind of shine too, right? It's not all Mark shouting over it. Like,
I'm with you on that. He kind of let the band have some space to breathe, and sometimes he doesn't want it because he wants to just deliver all the lyrics and then it be done, which is fair enough. But when he lets the band, especially a band like this, really kind of slowly massage it, it's just it allows his lyrics to just sit there so much better.
Yeah, you can kind of process them. You can get prepared to listen again, like versus trying to keep up with him and understand what he's saying if you don't have the lyrics in front of you.
So what do you think the two steps back is referring to as like a mindset, or maybe like a, what the observation is and then it's two steps back, or maybe what the process is and then he's taking two steps back, maybe.
Sure, yeah, whether it's around music or even even about substance abuse and things like that, like, I'm cleaning it up. Nope, two steps back. I'm back.
Yeah. He says, I had to look at the free festivals. They're like cinemas with no films. You can make a fire with the seats. You could boil up some cigar dimps. Or you could get into the sound. Wait for the ice cream to come around. It's almost like he's like observing kind of these festival bands playing, and they're all show, but there's no content, right? They're all, performative and delivering some songs, but the songs have no sort of real world connection.
Sure,
so
lyrically they're garbage, and I guess I'll just get into the instruments, get into the sound.
Yeah, or you get into the sound and you can just have your ice cream and enjoy yourself, right? And have like just some passive time, or you could be challenged, right? So it's like they're taking two steps back in their in their kind of, while the Fall are taking two steps forward and pressurizing the situation and making you have to really consider what it is that's going on. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's a nice one, right? Yeah, exactly. Two doors down, two steps back, two doors down. Right, like, are they in the same community? Are they, the guys practicing music two doors down from them, right? Like, oh, those guys are shit, but they're on the top of the charts. Or
yeah, and he has this reference at the beginning of the song that was, he says, like, Julian said, how was the gear, like how are the drugs? And that might be the part where it's like the character in this is like took the drugs, is taking in the sights and sounds of this festival, and they're very much taken aback as far as feeling like either isolated or just like, they're taking a step back because it's too much, right? It's too much stimulation.
sure, yeah, he's like, I don't need the acid factories or mushrooms in the fields, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are they?
Yeah, I also feel like when I hear that, when I hear him say that, I'm also thinking, I don't need that because this is already so surreal, right? Like being
Well,
surrounded by all these people or like all these people that are taking this in as a good time is already such a surreal situation, whether I'm on the drugs or not. It's just making me into a world of like this is um something that is maybe not as natural as it appears to be when you're in like a straight mindset.
or yeah, maybe he wants it more natural, right? He says, "I don't need the acid factories. I got mushrooms in the field." So like okay, I don't want that
Natural.
the strong acid, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm good. Like
Yeah.
I got these guys. They'll lull me into my state versus force me there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, totally. Totally. Um now let's get into the only track where Mark plays the guitar on this track,
Oh,
which I didn't know, but let's give this one a go. Live at the Witch Trials, the title track. A little 52-second um little piece.
see his chops.
But it's still one step ahead of you. I still believe in the R&R dream. R&R as primal scream. Tied to the Puritan ethic, non-sympathetic to spastics. After all, they're still a lonely bastard. Eggheads, boneheads, Q.
I like that he comes back with this what it's one step ahead of you, even though it was two steps back on the last. R&R is primal scream, the rest and relaxation, actually taking you into some sort of natural state of extreme. I always wondered why
Again,
they
which maybe
yeah, go ahead.
why they didn't play that first.
Yeah. Why isn't it it's such a nice little piece. It's such a nice little piece where you hear Mark at the would hear Mark at the beginning and then he hits you with Live at the Witch Trials. And then if it hit into like something that was like up tempo, that would have just been totally great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the beginning part's a little
Even the second side of like the side B, the start of side B, that would have been good.
sure where you've already understood what's happening. Because obviously the first few stanzas are a little intense if you don't know what the hell's going on. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, side B, certainly.
Yeah, maybe the witch trials begin right there, right? Or maybe that is his signal that the witch trials are about to begin and wrap up with authority with these last two tracks.
Sure. Let's see if they do.
Let's do it. Futures and Past. You know, he's wandering around. He's trying to find another another drink. He sees this policeman and lost in the fog, which is very beautiful. A beautiful line. And then the futures and past. It's all the same.
Yeah, even like a throwback, whether it's about him or not, but like you cry for your lost childhood. Remember how you hated it, but you couldn't state it, right? Like, okay, grin and
Yeah,
bear it.
yeah,
You don't really get an opinion.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just makes sense when he's forcing his perspective and future, right? He's forcing his future now
yeah,
versus letting how the past happened to him and was forced upon him. He creates what he wants at this point.
yeah. And it's all, besides the present, it's all futures and past, right? So it's all like, what do you want to look towards something or do you want to look back at something? And it seems like Mark, for the most part, he didn't want to do either. He was probably more inclined to go to the future, go look towards the future. Hence he just kept on going with the band, but he kept on doing that. But this is one song where I think just to quote him from earlier on, when you think about like what is this song about? It's about nothing. It's
No, it's written for everybody, right? Like what do you enjoy out of it, or where are you going when you hear it versus what am I telling you to feel or telling you to think?
yeah, just the perception that you have of just being alive. You understand it, but you don't see it. It's just it's there, but you're not gonna really ever understand it. It just is. It is what it is. So it's just all the experiences.
No, you do understand it, you just don't see it.
I think you don't understand it, but you do see it happening.
No, not according to Mark. It says I understand, but I don't see it over and over again.
You're right.
Um,
We should probably consult the fall experts on the message board and actually see what this song actually means.
we get out in the woods, listen to it, get our Ouija board, see if Mark wants to come and give us some ideas.
I would love to do that. That would be so fun. But then the Ouija board would just spew out a bunch of like hard to put together kind of like consonants and
Sure, yeah, just yelps and screams. How do you spell? Yeah,
at that point I'd say I see it, but I don't understand it.
got you, Mark. Just
I'm with you, Mark. We're with you, Mark.
poor Boddington's all over the board.
They have poured on the board, pour one out for Mark, and then probably play him the music scene that he doesn't want to be a part of, the 8-minute epic closing track of Live at the Witch Trials. This is kind of like the feel good song, to wrap everything up.
Yeah, I understand that. Mark appreciated what you did for him. I imagine once you were out of the band, he never thought about you again.
No, there was no time. You can see where Mark is coming from on this song about music scenes and being the outsider, being the outcast, where if you're not going to have me, I got no interest in having you.
Which probably just fucking stung that much more from him, right? Like if he was the outsider he felt he was his whole life, and then all of a sudden thinks he is the best, and yet he's still not appreciated, then he's just like spit in their eye, right? Like
and I heard early on in the fall when they were playing, maybe before they recorded or their first couple of singles, that people were telling the band members that their band was really good, but they need to get rid of the singer. So they were like kind of like pushing for him. So that couldn't have played well on his psyche in general. And so it probably just pushed him further and further away.
Yeah, pushed him into his island, right? Or into wanting to be only around people that appreciated him for his art.
Yeah. And then him seeing like he says, you're a good lad, here's a new flat, that stupid twat made for each other. Yeah, it's like, he's got that bitterness that is his signature bitterness of seeing people get what they have gotten, and where he thinks he, is getting the second tier or maybe even lower level of recognition.
Sure, and having early on having people walk out of the band, which probably led to him firing more people before they had that chance, so that he had the satisfaction of, no, you're out of my fucking band. Like
that's true.
Versus you're not going to walk out on me. I'm fucking firing you, right?
Yeah, I always think about that as well. Is like he had the early on of people just leaving the band because they didn't like the the micromanagement that was imposed on them. And also, even Martin, the guitar player, he says in some interviews that they were Mark or his partner at the time were kind of getting into his personal life and being like, why are you seeing her? Like you shouldn't be seeing her, whether it related to the band or not. And that kind of left a bad taste in his mouth, which, if that's true, that's fair. That's totally fair. But I think you're right. Like, he wants to be on top of things. He's in total control. So when someone's just like, no, I'm leaving, that makes him out of, he has to find a replacement. And he doesn't like finding replacements. He likes the new blood, but he doesn't like finding replacements. He doesn't like having auditions. He doesn't want to go through it. He's not going to listen to you play the drums and be like, I'm enjoying this. So he's going to make sure that he has a secondary plan in place so that when that firing happens on his terms, he's got the backup in place, which shows that he's just like, methodical. These guitar solos in the middle that are just like piercing and they're just playing off each other. They're just like swirling around each other. It's very fitting. It's also very fitting for a song that's talking about music scene people that are getting like pop recognition, and he's having this music scene song that has these guitars that are not, easily they're not tasteful. They're just very much pure emotional in the moment.
Sure, and then Yvonne's back on her keyboard game of just smashing the keys down.
Yeah, I do like that texture of the keys. And they got the guitar feedback, which is cool.
Yeah, not
It's
much
like a
feedback
whining guitar.
outside of this, right?
Yeah, no. This is the one they might have gone off on the overdubs a little bit. They have to fill this space because Mark's not singing the whole time.
Yeah. Well,
It's 8 minutes long. There's a lot of lyrics, but there's space.
And there's a lot of vinyl left to cover. We gotta get a long song in here.
Yeah.
We're not making it's not an EP, Mark. This is your LP. Let's go. Fill it up.
He was all about filling it up. And he had the tracks, so then he needed to fill it up. But also, if they recorded this in one day, he was just like, let's just, string it out. You can fade out whenever you want. You can cut it whenever you want. It's got to be the last track. Him calling out the times too of how long the track is.
That's what I mean. Like, right? Like they're literally like, you gotta fill up. We gotta get 45 minutes of music.
Yeah.
He's probably gritting his teeth right now. Like, this song should have been fucking over 4 minutes ago.
I like you get some of I like to think that some of the feedback at the end is some of him just mangling like a microphone, like he likes to do. If you ever see some of the live footage where he's manhandling a microphone and putting his hand all over the mic and then singing into it, it's almost him trying to get like a different tone out of his own voice by cupping it so hard. And I think that like that's his signature move, if he does have a signature move, because he's not, when he's on stage, if he's into it, dancing around a bit, but he's not a guy that you'll ever see, performative, doing something that's just for the performative nature, like laying down on stage, like throwing himself on a monitor. You're never going to see him do that. Probably because he's in a suit, his nice suit.
No, and I mean, he doesn't even change the tone of his voice very frequently. Like, he's more expecting the microphone to do it for him versus like, I'm gonna work in a different octave here. Like, might make some weird noises, but outside of that, I'm not changing my notes.
Yeah. And when he gets into the live scene too, he gets into like the mixing of the band, of like turning up and down people's amps and turning the dials. And you got to assume he doesn't know really what any of those dials are really doing. He's just kind of he's just kind of going off on, oh, it's getting better. For him, it's getting better. And it's great if you watch his live videos, and he does it out throughout his whole career. But when he does that, and then you can see if you watch the guitar player's face or whatever, the bass player's face, they just have to keep playing, and they're just looking like in horror, or like 100-yard stare of just pure like, what is going on? Like I was feeling this, and now I have to actually react to this change and play off of it. He needed them to change. Oh, and with that sound, Mark pouring his maybe final or first Boningtons of the evening. What are you feeling for a rating for Live at the Witch Trials, the first full length from the fall, 1979?
Well, we'll go 8 pints, and we'll finish it off with 2 neat single malt whiskeys.
Oh, so you're getting it up there into this perfection sphere. I like this. I can't disagree with that. I mean, I'm thinking this is 11-track album. You're always going to have the one track where it's not immediately resonating with you on the first handful of listens. So I'm pretty high up on the scale already. I'm going to say, the track listing wise, like I said, I probably want to do some reordering. So I'm going to take off 1, but I'm going to give this 9 Boddingtons filled to the brim.
Oh, nice head on there.
Yeah. Perfect pour.
It's nice. I mean, they whatever, I don't know if they remastered it or not, but then eventually they added bass, Bingo Masters, Psycho Mafia. They added all those EPs.
Yeah,
too.
on the streaming sites you get the EP tacked on there. So that's a nice bonus. So if you're gonna listen to it that way, you get the bonus EP at the end. That gives you the repetition that you're craving and the singles. So let's say it's a perfect 10 Boddingtons. Line them up. You don't have to drink them 1 per track, but I'm gonna say,
let's say you got in 2002 they reissued it with the additional 3 songs. So you got that 14 tracks. You can space them out a little bit.
I think you space them out, and then at the end, when you're done, you have a nice like a line of warm Boddingtons, and especially if you're an American listening to this, I think that's going to put you right into the groove that you need to be in to kind of put you in the place for maybe a couple subsequent listens to make this your new favorite fall album.
Yeah, well, while you play repetition over one more time, you go through your Boddington's cans and just finish off what you didn't make into the glass. You just make sure you're getting the dregs out of every can, and you go to bed happy.
And how about this too? Like if you have some left over, I say you invite some mates over and you hand them out and you say, we're gonna listen. I just listened to this. And I think that however many Boddingtons I have left, I'm going to have a nice little get together, listen to it, because I think you should listen to it with your friends and have a good time and, reflect on a nice piece of art.
It is certainly fun music to dissect and to listen to in great detail, versus a lot of stuff out there where it's not always as thoughtful, and the wordplay isn't as unique and special as the fall has become.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, throughout, the guitar work on this album alone is makes it so much more fun.
I was gonna say once they lose their guitar player, they lose Carl Burns on the drums, and it is miss.
a little shuffle. But even Martin comes back later in the fall, which I'm looking forward to. Some Martin guitar and yeah. So until the next time, I think we just have to say
We are
the best.
Yeah, we are the fall and we are the best. Yeah, we are the fall and we are the best. Yeah, we are the fall and we are the best. And in fact, I'll go further. I'll say anybody who can tell you the 5 best fall LPs or the 5 best fall tracks has missed the point. Really, it's the whole body of the work that is to be applauded.